say that the situation Caleb Williams is walking into might be the best ever for a rookie quarterback. So, Tim, I turn to you here. What are realistic expectations for Caleb Williams in his rookie season?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is realistic to think that they could be a playoff team, double-digit win team. I think that is realistic. Look, we saw that list. Look, Andrew Luck was, going to a terrible team when he showed up at Indy. So that's not the situation you're walking into because of the way that Chicago acquired the #1 overall pick. And so with that, look, I think that outside of the fact that their division is really good, meaning Green Bay is a good football team, Detroit's a good football team, Minnesota's, I think, probably better than people realize. Like, I think because of that, it's going to be hard to get to be a 10-win team. But I think it's possible, and I don't think it's out of the realm of unrealistic expectations to think that Chicago can do that with Caleb Williams at quarterback.
I definitely think it's possible. They have so much talent. Like, when you look at this wide receiver core alone, you got Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Rome Odunze. I mean, you could argue this is a top 5 receiving core already, and you have the top overall pick. Caleb Williams has so much talent. What I need them to be cautious of is putting too much on his shoulders. They can get to double-digit wins if they remain balanced, and I think they will do that with Shane Waldron because that's kind of what he's known for. Caleb Williams is going to have to come into this offense and to the NFL and understand that some of the things that may have worked in college won't work at this level, and they can keep that balance. If they can keep that balance, they absolutely have a possibility for double-digit wins because of the amount of talent they've been able to assume over the last couple of seasons.
I think that's such a great point about staying balanced and how important it is to get Caleb Williams comfortable, because since he can do so much, and I've said this before, his toolbox is so massive. He's got so many tools in the toolbox because he's such an elite, athletically gifted, talented football player that not only can so many things go right, but lots of things can go wrong. Right? That's just a reality. We see that with a lot of these freak athletes like a Caleb Williams, and he's going to have to learn and figure out what works and what doesn't. Can something work, but did it just not work in that moment, right? And there's a lot of things to figure out, and I think, right, taking things off his plate, which is what great coaches do, which is what great organizations do. They did it. Andy Reid does it with Patrick Mahomes. Tom Brady had it with Bill Belichick. It wasn't always like, go be a superhero, go throw for 500 yards, go put up 4 touchdowns. So establishing the run, having great defense to not have you have to win, to put up 30 points just to win a game, right? Like having a defense that maybe holds the opposing team to 14 points, right? Something like that. Obviously, any team would love to have that, but just not making it so where it's just like every time Caleb touches the ball, it's like, man, and if we're going to win this game, you got to ball out. That gets exhausting. Even if whether you're a rookie quarterback or whether you're an 8-year veteran, it becomes too much. And so I think, especially in this situation, right, if the Bears can do that for Caleb, that increases his chances of success just through the roof, right? But there is that feeling of he's such an elite talent, he's such a great talent. Let's lean on that, right? Lean on what we think is going to be great. And again, it's you want to be able to pick and choose your battles in that regard. But I really wanted to do this video because I've been doing a lot of Bears videos recently, and I'm curious, like, this is like a direct question to you guys. The expectations right now are so high for Caleb Williams and now the Chicago Bears as a whole. And I guess I'm curious, what do you all believe is realistic expectations? And especially if you're a Chicago Bears fan, obviously you want to make the playoffs, you want to win multiple playoff games, and you want to be like, hey, why can't we make it to the Super Bowl? Like, never say never. Like, let's go. NFC Championship game, all this, obviously, right? But what could happen this season that would make you happy? For some of you, is it like, man, anything short of a Super Bowl, anything short of an NFC Championship is just a failure? Because, like, I'm curious. Because once upon a time, it would be like just making the playoffs would feel like that's a great first season. That's awesome. Or winning 10 games, 9 games, great first season. I'm excited for the future. Now it feels like that's not enough. that the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams have to ball out and win at least one playoff game, right? Like it's just that's what it feels like, because when we compare it to a lot of people, I feel as though we're using CJ Stroud and the Texans as this barometer, right? And the Texans made it to the playoffs and they won a playoff game, and they won their first game like very convincingly, their first playoff game very convincingly, and then they got beaten pretty good by the Ravens. And now people kind of use that as like this frame of reference and this barometer. But I think also a lot of Brock Purdy's success with the 49ers is leaking in, because his first season, which wasn't even a full season, he gets to the NFC Championship game and then of course gets injured, and then his first full season, he gets to the Super Bowl. Now, granted, the 49ers obviously were incredibly established. They went to the Super Bowl a few years prior with a completely different quarterback. And there's been a lot of stability and maturity within that organization that the Chicago Bears are trying to build, that I don't know if it's just there just yet, right? Like they're in that process. And so I'm just curious though, like, what do you think? Like, what should the Chicago Bears be, and the fans, I mean, like, be happy with? Just making the playoffs? Just barely missing the playoffs? Winning a playoff game? Winning 2 playoff games? Like, where does it land? Because it just, the sense that I get with all the hype, all the energy, all the fandom, it seems to be, I just see 2 extremes. One is Caleb Williams is a bust, and this was a disaster, and everyone's going to see how much of a bust Caleb Williams is. Ha ha ha, Chicago Bears are going nowhere. That's not my thoughts, by the way. That's just like the general, Or it's Caleb Williams is for real. The Chicago Bears are for real. They just built a monster roster. They are going to hit the ground running. No one can stop them. And that they have a real legitimate chance to win the NFC. Right? And that means that there's no in between. Because that's all I'm seeing, not only on TV, right, on YouTube, as well as in the comment section. A lot of times when I say these things, so I'm so into building this channel into a community, because I want you all to feel like when I'm saying certain things, like, oh, a lot of people are saying, it's you guys who are actually watching these videos. And so a lot of this that I'm saying is like the comment section in all my Chicago Bears videos, the fans are high on the Bears. Like, they truly believe they're going to win the division. They believe that they can win the NFC and that a Super Bowl is genuinely possible. And I think if it wasn't for a Patrick Mahomes out there, they would say, like, winning a Super Bowl is possible. And I'm just curious, is that too extreme? Like, are people going to be upset if the Chicago Bears make it to the playoffs, win the division, make it to the playoffs, beat, who knows how the seeding is going to, they beat the Eagles in the first round, wild card weekend, whatever, and then they lose to the 49ers. Like, are you going to be okay with that? Or is that going to be a disappointing season now? If they win 10 games, but it's just a very competitive season, and they miss out on the playoffs, right? Detroit wins the division, or the Packers win the division, and because it's such a competitive division, they miss out on the wild card. But yet Caleb Williams balled out, played great, very exciting stuff, very optimistic about the future, but you're still disappointed. Kind of like the Texans. The Texans could have not made the playoffs. Would everyone still have been as high on CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans? Because they absolutely almost did not make the playoffs, right? Like, that came down to the wire, to the final play. Then they don't get to win, beat Cleveland Browns and have that super high moment that everybody was like, oh my God, which then led other people on TV to be like, CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans are going to blow out. If you guys watch Nick Wright, First Things First, like, he literally said CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans are going to blow out the Ravens. That obviously did not happen, but that's what he said. Like, that's when everything started to get higher and higher and higher and higher. But there's a very real chance that they didn't even make the playoffs. So I'm just curious, like, what will satisfy the Chicago Bears fans? Because I'm at this point, since I'm seeing such extreme views, I would love to hear like some just like legitimate thoughts. And if it is Super Bowl, or if it is NFC like championship, please definitely let me know. And if it's not, if you're like, hey, you know what, we understand how it goes, we're really excited, optimistic, I just want to see us win 8 games, 9 games, fight for a playoff spot, win a playoff game, whatever it may be, just get to the playoffs. Even if we lose, let me know, because I really am trying to get my finger on the pulse of how fans are thinking about their reality of the situation and what the true expectations are, and not just what the media is. Because right now there's a lot of hype around the Chicago Bears, and I think that they absolutely can get to the playoffs, and I think they absolutely can win a playoff game. But I think it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a walk in the park. It's going to be hard. I think the NFC has a lot of difficult teams to fight through, including the Lions, the Packers, which is just this division alone, the 49ers, the Eagles, the Rams. I mean, there's competitive teams in the NFC. This is no walk in the park. There are no scrubs out there right now. So it's not going to be easy for any team for that matter, whether it's the reigning NFC champions in the 49ers or whether it, because it's just, there's some legit teams around here. So I am very curious to see what the Chicago Bears will be able to do. But the big idea is that Justin Fields was not that good of a quarterback. They went 7-10. Caleb Williams is a significantly better quarterback. He's worth at least 3 wins. Boom. That gives you 10 wins. Let's go. It's definitely possible. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think the Chicago Bears can legitimately make a playoff run and, dare I say, actually get to a Super Bowl rookie year, Caleb Williams? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.